Alright, welcome. So today we have Isis. She has been requested numerous times, so it's finally that we get into it. Normally I talk about a god's abilities and how I managed into building for that god. For Isis, all you really need to know is that she is indeed a burst mage, and burst mages often follow the same few builds. However, there are different variety of routes that you can go into as far as like situational, like sometimes you're getting pressured by multiple physical gods that are like the jungler or the soul laner, and you might invest into like a breastplate of valor, maybe like a warlock sash or a dynasty plate helmet. So it really varies on what you need, as well as burst mages do follow a certain build. One thing I do want to show you, in case if you are new to Isis or is new to Smite and you did not know this, not only does Isis, her 3 silence the target, also slows them and also reduces their magical protection up to 30%. So that's huge. And then the silence lasts for 2 seconds and the slow is 20 seconds. So maybe you're not, the best at landing your 2. You can try to use your 3 in order to slow them and then follow that up into your spirit ball. And your spirit ball will also do more damage since obviously you reduce their magic protections. So it's a really neat combo to look into and use it more than just a silence. And that's how you can really get better as a player and getting better with that god, is just try to using all their mechanics in their kits. And that's pretty much it. Don't want to spend too much time on there. So you're looking for high burst items that have a lot of magical power, penetration. You can look for a cooldown reduction, the actual stat itself, if you are looking to reduce your cooldown times, obviously. So that way you can play her as maybe more as a utility mage. So you can go into like a Chronos Pendant, cooldown reduction boots. And that way you can use your 2 to stun your targets and help set up things. And you can also use your ultimate. If you can use it well, it does a lot of damage, as well as can save teammates. Because of the healing, it's just a lot. So enough of that. Let's get into actually building for Isis now. For Conquest, there are a numerous amount of different starts that you can go into for mages. So for one of them, you can go into the Soul Stone. Often when you pick up into the Soul Stone, you're looking to do a lot of early damage. So between this and going into the Purple Pot, the Potion of Magical Might, it gives you 50 magical power for 5 minutes, and this allows you to start, when you start this way, you have a lot of early push potential, and you can look for first bloods. However, if you do go into this route, if you do die before the time expires on the potion, which is 5 minutes, you ideally lose out on 450 gold that you could have used to invest into your boots or whatever item you wanted. So that is one route that you can go into. If you don't want to go into that route and you want to go to more of a safer and more a strong sustain route, you can go into the Vamp Shroud, giving you a lot of health and mana with the passive. And then often you'll see this picked up with the Lost Artifact. You can go to Lost Artifact still after your Soul Stone if you want to. So there's a few different starts you can go into, but for now let's just cover this, going into the starter item, Vamp Shroud. Next, go into the Lost Artifact. If you do invest into the Lost Artifact, you're investing into MP5, which is mana per 5 seconds, extra magical power, and then what you're investing this item into are into these 3 different items. So if you're looking for a high risk, high reward, high burst mage build, you can go into the Doom Orb. Now, as you can see, the Doom Orb is very cheap, and with the passive stacks, if you get all 50 stacks, that's an additional 100 magical power on top of the 40 it already gives you. So you're looking for this for a lot of magical power. However, the drawback is, if you do die with this item, you do lose on half of your stacks, which is huge. So you're going to be picking up this item if you can trust your teammates for rotations and helping you out, as well as you yourself not making too many mistakes and not really getting out of position. Now, if you don't want to go into that and you want to invest in cooldown reduction, then you just build the Lost Artifact into the Chronos Pendant, allowing you for MP5, magical power, and cooldown reduction. And after this point, you can just go into your boots, or you can go into your boots first and then go back and build this into that Chronos Pendant or the Doom Orb. That's some different ways you can go into. If you don't want to mess with all that, you can just go straight into your boots. It just is really up to you. But for now, let's just go into a high burst mage build for Isis. So let's go into the Doom Orb, going into our pen boots. Again, if you're looking to be more of a utility mage or utility playstyle, then you might invest into the Chronos Pendant and to the cooldown reduction boots. It's all up to you. So next, you can go into a stack an item. Obviously, in Conquest, you're spending a lot of time killing minions, jungle camps, things of that nature. So you can look into a stack an item to enhance your magical power by a lot. If you go into the Book of Thoth, allows you for a lot of mana and as well as a lot of magic power. If you're looking to be a little bit more tanky and you're getting targeted and focused out a bit, and you want to enhance your defensive stats, and as well as just general HP, you can go into the Warlock Sash. Not the most magic power obviously compared to Book of Thoth, but you're investing into this item just for the health and mana. So it's up to you on what you want to go into. for now, let's just go into the Book of Thoth. Regardless of which item you go into, typically the next item in this specific item slot is just your penetration item. If you don't want to go to stack an item and you didn't pick up your cooldown reduction before, you can go into the Chronos Pendant after your boots, and then you can invest into your pen. So you can do something like this if you don't want to mess with stacks. If you do want to enhance your magical power by a lot and go to a stack an item, obviously just go into a Book of Thoth. Regardless of which item you went into this item slot after boots, you definitely want to pick up your penetration. Right now, the best bet for pen is indeed the Obsidian Shard. It does provide you with a lot of magic power and 33% magical penetration. Ensures you can do a lot of damage to your target. So not only are you reducing your target's magical protection with your 3 by like 30%, then you also have Obsidian Shard. So you're doing a lot of burst damage. Ideally, you maybe can look at the Spear of Magus if you're fighting gods that don't have good magical protection scaling. Meaning when they level up, they don't gain any or very low magic protection, as well as they're not building any magic protection. So, and in the case if you're fighting a squishy target, the Spear of Magus is pretty good. And specifically with Isis, when you use your Wing Gust, you're hitting the target multiple times, so you can easily apply the passive stacks with the Spear of the Magus. But for the most part, for the simple and easy way to get a lot of damage, you just go into the Obsidian Shard. After this point, you are looking to kind of close out your build, and the best bet to do that and enhance your magical power by a lot. You're just looking for the Rod of Tahuti. It is a little costly, but once you get it finished, you can make great usage out of that passive because you already have all this magical power from your items previously. And that way you can just gain another like 200 plus magical power. As far as the starter item, you can sell it mid to late game whenever you feel like you don't need it for an item that you wanted to get previously, or whatever the case may be, you know, situational building ideally. If you're looking for a lot of burst damage, you might look into the Soul Reaver. Provides you again with more mana, which enhances the damage from the passive on Book of Thoth, as well as the passive on Soul Reaver hits like a truck. And then as far as the Doom Orb, if you do invest into this item, I know it's not the most popular item right now, but if you do invest into it, I would consider selling Doom Orb late game, and then with that money you sold it for, just go ahead and buy the Spear of Desolation, so that way you don't lose out on a lot of magical power, and you do gain the extra pen, and you don't have to worry about stacks. Also, late game, traditionally you might sell your pen boots for the cooldown reduction boots. Late game fights, cooldown reduction is very important because you're fighting a lot, and the 10 flat pen from the Magi is not a whole lot late game. So you can do something like this. It just really depends on what you're looking to do. Obviously, if you're looking for more of a utility playstyle, like I mentioned before, you want to invest into some cooldown reduction. Now let's go into a casual game mode build, like, you know, Arena, or maybe like perhaps like Clash. You just pretty much just go straight into your boots. If you are playing in Assault, you just go into the Chronos Pendant as your very first item because it provides you with that MP5 to better sustain yourself, and then you go into your boots right after that. So for a casual game mode, you just pretty much go into your Shoes of the Magi. In the case of Clash and Arena, you are fighting a lot more than you would in Conquest, so cooldown reduction is pretty popular regardless of what playstyle that you are going into. So for the most part, you go to the Chronos Pendant after your boots. After this point, you can go into a stack and item, or you can do vice versa. You can go into your stack and item right after boots and then go to Chronos Pendant. It's all up to you. For a stack and item, Book of Thoth is not too bad. Even if you don't get a whole lot of stacks on Book of Thoth, the way that passive works, it's based off of 3% of your total mana. So the stacks aren't too important. It's just based off of your mana pool, which you get mana from items. You also get mana from leveling up, and just, you know, playing as a god that is a mage, you have a lot of base mana. So it does give you a lot of magic power, even if you have no mana. As you can see, without this item, I have 120 magic power. You buy this, have no stacks, and have 263 magic power. You can see the huge increase in power spike there. So after that, you definitely want to rush into your last few items in Arena. Not too often do you actually get to finish your build, since the match traditionally closes out pretty soon. So you definitely want to invest into your pen item, Obsidian Shard, and then close it out with the Rod Tahuti. And then your last item, if you do get to build it, you can build it into whatever you want. You can go to Soul Reaver, or let's say if you can't afford Soul Reaver, but you want a lot of magical power really quickly, then you might see the Bancroft talent picked up. You're not looking at it for the passive or the lifesteal. You're looking at it as 2,400 gold for 100 magic power. Not too bad of a deal. You can do something like that. And that is pretty much it. If you're all looking for defensive items, I would probably invest into a Breastplate of Valor. That's a pretty good item as well. In the early stages of the game, you can look into the Dynasty Plate Helmet, and the reason why I say early game is because late game, this item is not the best because the actual number values are pretty low for late game. So this is just a really cheap and efficient item to build into a very early game, looking for early protections and pen and power. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, covered everything I really wanted to cover. As far as relics, you definitely want to invest into a purification since you are not CC immune and during any of your abilities, not even your ultimate. So to help you out there, you definitely want to look into the purification. So that way you can assure yourself you don't get locked down and just die. Other relics are good as far as you can go to like sprint, or you can pop shell on top of your ultimate, and that way just nobody's dying in your ultimate. And you can look forward to some other relics, just whatever you need. And as far as assault, you definitely want to invest into the meditation because it's very important to heal your allies up since you obviously cannot go back to base. So that's pretty much it that I wanted to cover. Hopefully it was helpful and provided you with some ideas to build for your own ISIS build. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.